The storm hammered the lonely workshop as lightning split the sky, and in the blinding flash, the door was torn from its frame. Through the roaring wind stepped a towering creature of metal scales and burning eyes, cradling something broken, something dying, and with a voice like grinding stone, it whispered, "Please save her." If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to the channel and like the video. And tell us in the comments where you are watching from. Now, let's jump into the story. The rain came down hard on the metal roof, rattling like 100 tiny drums, beating without pause. The sky above the frontier colony was dark and restless, rolling with deep thunder that shook the quiet outskirts. In a small, cluttered workshop at the edge of the settlement, a man named Min-jun Park worked alone. His hands were stained with grease, his eyes tired from long hours. He had spent most of his 42 years fixing broken machines, and tonight was no different. A damaged mining drill sat on his bench, stubborn and silent, as he tried to bring it back to life. He liked the solitude here, far from the noisy markets, where humans and alien traders haggled over strange metals and glowing spices. Here, he could hear himself think. Here, the only voices were the hum of machines and the soft creak of old tools. But tonight, the wind felt different. It pressed against the workshop's thin walls like something alive. It whistled through every crack, carrying the cold smell of iron and distant storms. Min-jun reached for his coffee when the front door exploded inward. Metal screamed as it tore from the frame. Shattered bolts flew across the room. Rain swept inside in a wild rush, scattering papers and clattering tools across the floor. The lamp on his bench flickered. Min-jun dove behind the workbench, heart pounding. A huge shadow filled the doorway. It was taller than any human, nearly 9 feet, its body covered in dark, metallic scales that caught the lightning in sharp flashes. Steam rose from its nostrils. Its long tail dragged across the floor with a hiss. Claws like curved knives clicked against the soaked metal floor. Wings were folded tight against its back. Min-jun froze, breath caught in his throat. The creature stepped fully inside, bending to clear the twisted doorway. In its massive arms, it carried another figure, smaller and limp. Her scales, once silver bright, were now cracked and dull. Strange crystal growths crawled across her body like frozen vines. Her breathing was shallow, each breath catching like a broken engine trying to turn over. The larger creature knelt on the soaked floor, careful and slow. His glowing eyes found Min-jun crouched behind the bench. "Please," he said. His voice was deep and rough, like heavy stones sliding over one another. Min-jun gripped a wrench in his shaking hands. "I'm just a mechanic," he said. "I fix machines, not people." The creature's claws trembled as he lowered his head. "I am Raken," he said, the words broken but clear. "This is Nira. She is my mate. She is dying. Your kind sees what others do not. Please, help her." Min-jun stayed where he was, torn between fear and disbelief. Drari. He had heard stories about them. Dragon-like beings from far beyond human space, fierce and proud, known to breathe plasma, hot enough to melt steel. No human spoke of them lightly. Yet here one was, kneeling on a workshop floor, begging. Nira's body made a faint sound, almost a whimper. The crystals on her skin pulsed with a dim light. Rain dripped from Raken's wings, pooling around him. Minjun rose slowly from behind the bench. He moved closer, cautious, his boots splashing in the cold water spreading across the floor. He crouched near the table where Raken had placed her. The crystals were not random. They followed precise paths. A faint hum came from them, low and steady, like the core of a failing power cell. "What happened to her?" he asked quietly. Raken's glowing eyes lifted. "We found an old vessel drifting in dead space," he said. "Inside were energy stones, ancient, powerful, beautiful. Nira touched one. It poisoned her. Our doctors tried everything. They said her body is turning to stone." Minjun studied the lines of crystal. Something about them was familiar. He had seen corrupted energy before, creeping through a power system like frost spreading on glass. It did not destroy at random. It rewrote, reshaped, replacing living flow with dead structure. He looked at Raken, who sat motionless except for the tremor in his claws. "You came to a mechanic," Minjun said slowly. "Maybe that's not the worst mistake you could make." Raken's gaze sharpened with the faintest spark of hope. Minjun turned and began clearing space on his workbench. The storm still raged outside, but inside the small workshop, something had changed. Fear gave way to purpose. Nira lay silent, her faint breath barely stirring the air. Raken knelt beside her, waiting, watching. And Minjun Park, who had spent his life fixing broken things, decided that tonight he would try to fix something everyone else had already given up on. The night faded slowly, leaving pale light stretching across the broken doorway of Minjun Park's workshop. The storm had passed, but the ground was still wet, and the air was cold with the smell of iron. Inside, the cluttered space was silent except for the soft hum of old machines and the faint, uneven breathing of Nira. She lay on a table covered in blankets, her scales dull and cracked, the strange crystal growths still spreading over her body like thin veins of glass. Raken sat beside her, tall and motionless, his claws resting gently near her hand. He had not moved since the night before. Every few minutes, he would lower his head and whisper something in his own language, words soft as falling ash. He had not eaten, not slept, and still he watched, waiting for any sign of change. Minjun stepped carefully through the scattered tools on the floor. He carried a mug of steaming coffee in one hand and a plate of simple bread and fruit in the other. He set the tray near Raken and said, "Eat, you need strength." "I cannot," Raken said without looking up. "Not while she suffers." "You cannot help her if you collapse," Minjun replied. "Trust me." Raken hesitated, then reached for the bread. The motion seemed heavy, but he obeyed. Minjun turned back to his workbench, his mind already turning like the gears he knew so well. The small scanner he had used the night before still sat on the bench, its display frozen on the image of Nira's corrupted energy. The pattern was cold and perfect, crawling across her body with cruel precision. It reminded him of corrupted power networks he had once seen in mining rigs. They had not failed randomly. They had been rewritten. A deep hum filled the air outside. Minjun looked up as a small shuttle settled gently on the landing pad beside the shop. The engines cut off, leaving only the sound of cooling metal and the faint breeze from its landing jets. A moment later, Sora Lee stepped through the ruined doorway. She was younger than Min Jun by many years, quick-eyed and steady-handed, with a bag of tools over her shoulder. She stopped when she saw Raken, her eyebrows lifting for just a second. Then she moved forward, without hesitation. "You said it was urgent," she said quietly. "It is," Min Jun replied. He gestured toward Nira. "Look." Sora placed a small scanner over Nira's arm. The device glowed faintly, then displayed thin lines of energy paths. The corrupted parts flashed like cracks of ice under sunlight. "This isn't sickness," Sora murmured. "This is Stru, ordered, like a system running the wrong code." Raken lifted his head, his voice low. "Code? Instructions," Min Jun said, "like the rules machines follow. When the rules break, the machine does too. Your healers tried to heal her like she was ill, but she isn't ill. Her body is following broken instructions." Sora's eyes brightened with understanding. "Then we don't fight it like an infection. We rewrite it." They spread paper across the bench, sketching fast. Min Jun's words came in short bursts, like pieces of a puzzle sliding into place. First, they needed to map Nira's energy network. The pathways inside her acted like both nerves and power cables. Second, they needed something small enough to enter her body, something that could repair those broken paths from the inside. Third, they needed a way to guide those repairs. "Tiny mechanical helpers," Sora said, thinking aloud. "Nanoscopic," Min Jun added. "We can teach them using Raken's energy pattern. He's healthy. His pattern is clean." Sora began assembling a trainer device to imprint the correct energy signature. Min Jun started building the mapping frame, a delicate web of sensors that would wrap around Nira's body and read her energy patterns without harming her. Raken watched silently, its claws tapping the edge of the table as his mind followed their strange human logic. "They cannot act alone," Sora said. "Her system will see them as enemies. They will be destroyed before they can work." Min Jun looked up. "Then someone must guide them." He drew the shape of a neural interface, soft leads that would link Nira's energy network to a control device. The link would allow a human mind to see her energy map and guide the mechanical helpers through it, like a pilot steering ships through a storm. Raken's voice was low and heavy. "It will be dangerous." "Yes," Min Jun said. "If the link fails, it could harm the one guiding her too." Raken looked at Nira. Her breathing was thin now, her body weak. The crystals were climbing the curve of her neck. Time was slipping away from them. "Then do it," Raken said. Sora tightened the last bolt on the mapping frame. Min Jun placed the pieces of the neural interface on the bench. The tools around them hummed quietly, waiting. Outside, the air was still, holding its breath. Inside the little workshop on the far edge of the colony, a dangerous hope began to take shape. The workshop was silent, except for the soft hum of machines. Pale light filtered through the cracked roof as Min Jun Park and Sora Lee worked quickly. Nira lay on a raised platform in the center of the room, her body still and fragile. The crystal growths had reached her neck now, glowing faintly, like cold fire. Raken stood beside her, unmoving, his claws resting gently near her hand. The mapping frame wrapped around Nira's body, like a delicate cage. Thin sensors touched along her spine, arms, and chest. Sora checked each one twice, her hands steady, though her voice was quiet. Signals are stable, she said. Energy patterns are readable. Minjun nodded. His face was pale, but his eyes were sharp. He tapped the main console, and the device came alive. Soft lights pulsed in rhythm with Nira's heartbeat. A glowing image rose on the screen, showing her inner energy network like a map of stars. Bright lines branched in every direction, but some were cracked and broken. Across those breaks, the corrupted pattern spread like frost crawling on glass. "Helpers are ready," Sora whispered. She held a small vial of silver particles, swirling like dust caught in moonlight. Minjun opened the chamber on the side of the machine. "Send them." The tiny mechanical helpers entered her bloodstream. The display showed them as pinpoints of light, drifting through her body like sparks in a river. At first, they moved smoothly, repairing small sections where the corruption had weakened the pathways. Parts of the glowing map brightened, showing signs of healing. Then the resistance began. A low alarm pulsed on the console. Corrupted energy surged through Nira's body like a sudden tide. The helpers scattered, some going dark, others spinning aimlessly. On the screen, the corrupted paths flared brighter, pushing back with violent force. "Her system is attacking them," Sora said. "It sees them as intruders." Nira's body jerked weakly on the platform. Her breathing faltered. Raken lowered his head, panic flickering in his glowing eyes. "We need to guide them," Minjun said. "We can't fight the system. We have to show them how to move with it." Sora turned sharply. Someone has to see what she sees. Minjun reached for the neural interface. The crown of soft leads gleamed faintly in his hands. "No," Sora said quickly. "We don't know what that energy will do to a human brain." "I know," Minjun said quietly. "But I know her map now. I've studied it. I can guide them." Before she could stop him, he placed the crown on his head and locked the side clamps into the console. The machine hummed. The room seemed to fall away. He was inside her. Light and heat rushed past him like a wind. Her energy network surrounded him, vast and bright. The corrupted sections glowed cold and sharp, like shards of ice embedded in living fire. The helpers were scattered sparks, small and lost. Minjun focused. He sent a thought that was not a thought, a pattern instead of a word. "Here, follow, this way." The helpers responded, slow at first, then faster. They gathered in groups, slipping along clean lines, repairing the broken edges as they went. Pain lanced through his skull. His hands shook. His breathing came rough. "Minjung!" Sora's voice called from far away. "Your levels are spiking." "Not yet," he gasped. "Almost there." Raken stepped closer. "Take my steadiness," he said softly. "I can anchor you." Sora's eyes widened. "If his energy mixes with yours." "Just a little," Minjung said through clenched teeth. Raken placed one clawed hand gently on Minjung's shoulder. A slow wave of calm steadied Minjung's racing mind. Together, they moved the helpers deeper. They passed through narrow channels, weaving between sparks of living energy. They reached the central organs, where the corruption was strongest. The helpers swarmed in coordinated streams, dissolving the crystal growths from the inside. On the screen, sections of Nira's energy network flickered back to life. The corruption shrank in retreat. Approaching her brain, Sora whispered. This is the hardest part. Minjung's vision blurred. Her brain was a dense city of lights, twisting and shifting. He faltered, losing the path. Too complex, he whispered. I can't see it. Then show me how you see, Raken said. Minjun opened the link. For a heartbeat, their minds touched. Raken saw as Minjun saw, connections instead of walls, patterns instead of power. They worked together. Two minds guiding the tiny machines through the final maze. The cold lights of corruption faded. Clean energy swept through the map like dawn chasing night. Nira's body softened. Her breathing steadied. Minjun tore off the crown and collapsed to the floor. Sora caught the console before it fell. On the platform, Nira's eyes opened slowly, clear and bright. Raken, she whispered. Raken's voice broke. I am here. Minjun lay on the cold floor, too tired to speak. But he heard soft morning light slipped through the open doorway of the workshop, casting long golden lines across the floor. The storm that had shaken the world days before was gone, leaving the air clear and still. Outside, small ships rested on the landing field, their metal frames glinting in the new sun. Where am I? Minjun asked. You are still in your workshop, she said gently. Though it has changed. I am Dr. Mira Han. I came from the core worlds when I heard what you accomplished. Minjun tried to sit up. His arms trembled. Dr. Han helped him rise slowly, propping pillows behind his back. How long have I been out? 3 days, she said. Your body endured more strain than it was meant to survive, but you live. He turned his gaze across the room. It no longer looked like his workshop. Where his old benches had been, sleek medical tables stood in neat rows. Monitors blinked softly. Tools he had never seen before hung in orderly lines on the walls. Where are they? He asked. The door opened. Raken stepped through, his dark scales bright again under the morning light. His massive frame seemed lighter now, no longer bowed by grief. You are awake, Raken said, and for the first time his voice carried something soft. Relief. How is she? See for it. Nira followed him into the room. Her steps were slow but steady. Her metallic scales shone clean and strong, catching the light like polished silver. There was no trace of the crystal growths that had once covered her body. She moved to the side of the bed and bowed her head. Minjun Park, she said softly, I owe you my life. You don't owe me anything, Minjun said. His voice was rough. I just fixed what was broken. No, Raken said firmly. You risked your life to save her. You guided your mind into her energy, knowing it could destroy you. No one else could have done what you did. Dr. Han held up her tablet. Lines of data glowed on the screen. Your method is spreading, she said. Engineers and doctors from across the galaxy are studying it already. Your biomechanical interface has shown success in treating conditions thought impossible to cure. You may have changed medicine forever. Minjun shook his head slowly. I don't understand medicine. That is exactly why it worked, Dr. Han said. You saw her not as a patient with an illness, but as a system with broken patterns. Your thinking followed paths no one else dared to walk. Outside the window, the landing field was crowded now. Ships of many shapes stood in the sunlight. Figures of different species moved among them, their voices bright with curiosity and hope. "They have come to learn from you," Dr. Han said quietly. Minjun stared at the gathering ships, unsure what to say. Nira stepped closer. Her voice was quiet but sure. "You saw hope when even our healers saw only death. You gave us more than life. You showed us that there are always new ways forward." Raken placed one clawed hand over his chest. "You showed me that strength is not only power. Sometimes it is courage. Sometimes it is trust." Minjun lowered his eyes, uncomfortable under their words. "I am just a mechanic," he said softly. "You are a mechanic who changed the path of countless lives," Dr. Han replied. The wind moved through the doorway, carrying the bright sound of distant engines. For the first time, Minjun did not hear it as a warning or a threat. He heard it as an invitation. The world beyond his workshop was no longer quiet. It was waiting. And somewhere inside, he felt ready to meet it.